Welcome to the Stories and Maker's Nest children's program from Leaside United Church and Rosedale United Church in Toronto. My name is Roberta and I'll be leading our program today. Today we're going to hear the second half of our story about Elijah, and we're going to learn about God's small voice.
For our craft activity today, we will be doing an experiment. You will need dish soap, water, vinegar, food coloring, baking soda, a large cup or jar, and most importantly, permission to do this experiment from an adult in your household. You will also need your Read, Wonder, Listen Bible if you have one. If you don't worry, we'll be doing the story together. If you're watching this video on YouTube, this is a great time to pause the video, collect everything you need, ask someone in your house if it's all right to be doing this experiment, and then when you're ready, you can come back and we'll get started. And now we light the Christ candle as we begin our time together to remind us of the light of God's love that is with us.
And now we begin as we do each week with our centering and grounding prayer. If you know the words to this prayer, you can follow along with me, and if not, there are some actions that go with this prayer, so you can just follow the actions with your body. Dear God, we thank you for today. We thank you for tomorrow. We thank you for our brains that help us think, our bodies that help us move, and our hearts that help us love. Amen.
Last week, we started a story about Elijah. He was a prophet, someone who listened to God and told others about him. Elijah started out in the story very upset, but through God's care, he was reminded that God is always with him, even when he feels far away. Now, our story continues as Elijah goes deeper into the desert and sees what God looks like and sounds like. Let's take a look. Elijah runs away, page 111 in the Read, Wonder, Listen Bible, starting halfway through at the words, "So Elijah got up." So Elijah got up and ate and drank. He went deeper into the desert until he came to the holy mountain. He climbed the mountain and hid himself in a small opening in the rock. Then he waited. Suddenly, there was a great earthquake. The ground shook and chunks of rock broke away from the mountain. Imagine the strength it takes to shake the earth, marveled Elijah. God must be here. But God was not in the earthquake. Then a wind began to blow. It howled around the cave. What a mighty wind, thought Elijah. God must be here. But God was not in the wind. Then came a terrible storm. Thunder cracked and rumbled and lightning blazed. Oh, the power of this storm, thought Elijah. God must be here. But God was not in the storm. Elijah waited. There was nothing but pure stillness and silence. Then Elijah heard a tiny voice. "Elijah," said the voice, "what were you expecting? Why do you only look for me in strength and might and power? No wonder you felt so far from me. Be still and listen. Be still and know that I am God." So Elijah was still, and he knew. Elijah climbed back down the mountain. He trekked through the desert. He knew Queen Jezebel was waiting for him, but he no longer felt alone. That made all the difference. From then on, Elijah looked for God and found God in new places. And he always took time to be still and listen. In our story today, we hear about some things that happen in nature and how grand and powerful it can be with earthquakes, wind, and storms. Elijah saw these mighty storms and thought surely God was like them, powerful, terrible, mighty. What do you think God is like? Do you think God is different from how Elijah imagined? As Elijah continues to wait, he sits in silence, and a tiny voice speaks to him, God's small voice. When Elijah was still and listened, he found that God was not only in the might and power, but was also there in the quiet moments, the still moments. And sometimes, by being still and waiting, you can notice God in a place you weren't expecting.
For our activity today, we are going to be making a volcano. So to start, we just need our jar or glass. We just need something that's tall and large. So a glass or a jar like this will do just fine. If it is a glass, make sure it's a big one, not just a normal size drinking glass, because that won't be big enough to make our volcano explode. And then we're going to want vinegar, and we're going to pour quite a bit into our jar, about a third of the way up. Oh, you can hear Shaq is playing in the background. He's enjoying our experimenting too. So, once we have our jar about a third full of vinegar, we're going to put in a squeeze of dish soap. And this will make our volcano erupt a bit more slowly so you can see how it goes. And then we're going to put in food coloring. Now, whatever color of food coloring you choose, that will be the color that the volcano explodes. So I've chosen red to kind of be like lava, but you can choose any color that you have. And then I'm going to give that all a stir. And once you've finished mixing this together, our last ingredient is going to be a small cup of water. And then we can just put that to the side as we work on our second set of ingredients. So we are going to get the same cup that we just poured out and put baking soda in it. And we're going to fill it about a third of the way up with baking soda. So once you've got a decent amount of baking soda in there, you can just go to the sink and put water in until your cup is almost full, and then give it a stir. And you want to stir until the baking soda has dissolved, so you can't feel any of the thick baking soda at the bottom anymore. And once you've got this, your baking soda slurry, we are ready to make our explosion. So we're gonna head to the sink and do it inside the sink so it doesn't make a big mess. I'll meet you there. All right, so we've made it to my sink. So I've got my first mixture here, and I'm just going to place it in the bottom of the sink. And then I have my baking soda slurry, and you might be able to see that it has gone and separated. So I'm just going to give it another stir so that the whole thing is ready to go. And now it's explosion time. So if you're looking away, now's the time to look to watch the explosion. So I'll give it one more stir. There we go. Look at that. That was pretty cool. And that was really exciting. And God's there in the exciting and the big moments like the volcano. But also, wait. Can you hear what I hear? What do you hear when you take a moment to be still? What do you see? I can hear the tiny sound of bubbles and the reaction happening. Do you see what I see? God is in the small things, the things that are so small you might not even notice them if you don't take the time to be still. And like our volcano, all these tiny moments can come together to create something really amazing.
As we leave our time together, may we give thanks for God and remember to take time to be still and listen for God's small voice.